Hey there, and thanks for tuning in to Coffee with Klingman, where we talk with some of the most interesting people I know over a good cup of joe. Today in the cafe, we have Jonny Caiani, a 7-figure entrepreneur, talking about all things spiritual. Big change, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I did an interview with this guy. For those listening and watching, I did an interview with this guy a couple weeks ago, and we tried it with the headphones and his faulty equipment. Nothing was working right. Just wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't aligning. The stars didn't align.
Nope. Okay, so I got my 2 tablespoons of coffee in there. I have it very finely ground. That's another thing you should know. Mm-hmm. And then, boop, pour it up just to the 1 mark, which will be almost like a shot. I stir it. I'm supposed to stir it for 10 seconds, but I'm only going to stir it for a few seconds because I want to show the magic. I push this down, and it uses vacuum press technology.
Whoa.
Yeah, freaking gold. That's right. I know. And booyah, uses all the air to push the coffee
I can
right
smell
through
it.
the grinds. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Ooh, that's some rich flavor.
That's right, all right up them nostrils. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Just like that, I have essentially a shot of espresso in here, a shot of Colombian roast.
Okay.
Set that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. And then you have your coffee. You just fill it right up. Fill up with water, and you have a cup of coffee.
Bang. You made it look very good.
Thank you.
I might steal a sip from you down the road. If it's open.
Here. It is open, and it is here for the taking.
Cool beans,
Yep.
beans. The reason I didn't hesitate for that is because me and Gabe go way back, lifelong friends.
For real. Honestly, for those watching and listening, I have known this kid longer than I've known my younger brother, which I always like to say that.
Right.
It's hilarious. Yeah, because Maya, how old is Meeks? 20-something? 23?
23. Wait, yes, 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we met, my family met your family like a year before that, I think.
Okay, yep.
Right in that timeline.
Long time.
Right? For real. It's crazy how, relationships can form and, stay with each other for years.
Right.
And how much people change over that period of time.
Oh, no, literally, thinking back to our relationship, I mean, just me personally, I've changed so much, throughout my whole life, so.
For real.
It's the fact that we can still be on great terms,
After all these years.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really odd. Do you think it's because we were close when it was in, formative years, so we kind of grew up together? Changed together.
I think that's part of it, but part of it, very familiar with our brain and stuff because our whole lives, we've known each other. But I think personality has a lot to do with it because maybe if you or me were a certain way, then we wouldn't be, we wouldn't be attracted to each other's vibe as much, maybe. Mm-hmm. So I could see, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, okay, so I could actually feel that. I could get that because, we both obviously, personality-wise, we both changed a lot since we were younger. I was super freaking shy. Yeah, those were some rough days.
Right now, you're one of the most outgoing people I know.
Yes,
It's crazy.
But with that, you've changed a lot too, and so we've changed.
So much.
Yeah. Oh, it's been crazy. To see your growth has been insane, and honestly, so this is going to go on to a completely different tangent. Mm-hmm. One thing that I've always really appreciated about you and your growth is your openness to experience. And a lot of that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did a lot of that stem from your openness to trying weed or going into that direction?
I think that played a part. That definitely played a big part. So when you said openness to experience new things, is that what you said?
Essentially.
Okay.
So anything that's new, anything that didn't happen,
I guess I go through phases myself of being open, of the openness. But yeah, weed was definitely a catalyst. It's hard to describe it for someone who hasn't smoked weed. Not that I don't know if you have or not. But,
many times.
Okay. Yep. But
almost a nightly occurrence at this point. Definitely, I have such hard time sleeping, and
oh, really?
Yeah, it knocks me out, which is so nice.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so you've been using it.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
In what form?
The pens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep. Nice.
they've been working. They work really well. But keep going. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like yeah, the weed was part of it. I mean, but to say it was one thing, I don't know. It was just kind of a combination of everything, of all my experiences. But I mean, I don't like to freaking think I'm super like open-minded. Well, actually, I kind of feel like I am pretty open-minded.
You are pretty open-minded.
I've been working on it recently. So it's
Really?
like yeah, because I'm aware that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. Like so much stuff that I don't know. So the only way I'm going to learn that stuff is to be open-minded. So, I mean, that's just one way of putting it, but
Yeah. That's like part of what we were talking about before we started recording, was like being open to other positions and other views that you don't hold, or that you didn't grow up in. Like, we grew up in a Western culture,
Oh my gosh.
hugely influenced at a very specific time where we have very specific values and beliefs because of this time. We're in a location that has values and beliefs that, like, here in the Northeast, that down in the Southwest don't have. Everything is very specific. And just because that's how you grew up doesn't mean that's the way it should be. And
Exactly.
like there's so much more of the world out there, so much more to try, so much more to do, so much more to experience, so much more that people value that we've never thought about. And to be so close-minded and to say, this is all we have, this is it, everything I believe is right, that's foolish.
yeah. And it's crazy because, like, even if you are closed-minded, right? Like, or if you are brought up a certain way, it's just crazy because I can't help but fucking think of this. Like, me and you were brought up in a very Christian household, right? So that was like
Completely.
very drilled into us. Not that there's
100%.
anything wrong with it. It's up to each person to decide whether whether anything is right for them or not. But yeah, like, even though we were brought up in Christian households, and now looking back, we've like retrained our brain to like be more open-minded, maybe not to think that like Christianity is the only path or whatever. Or
Absolutely.
you know,
It's a really weird thing. Like, so since you brought up, let's go down this road.
yeah.
It's a really weird path. With Christianity, it's really odd. It's one of the few sectors I've realized that the second you start questioning things, that everything kind of crumbles. And I don't mean like factually, I mean like relationally. So,
Oh, that's the way I took it.
Yeah,
Because the moment you
100%.
start questioning it, everybody that is so established, not everybody.
Yeah, I was
Some people can be completely open-minded to
100%.
it and accept that you're just on your journey. And then some people,
it's a
like,
completely different world.
It freaks them out
100%. And it's really weird to see that dynamic.
to experience it firsthand.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Going through that, when I did that myself, like, there was a handful of people that have stood by and have been like devout Christians and been like, awesome, let's go on this journey. You go discover what you need, go look into what you need. And like, it's been incredible. And my friendship and relationship with them has gotten so much better. John Gray, shout out to Jay Gray. My man Jay Gray, who is getting married in a couple weeks.
Woo! Congrats, my boy.
Right? He has been incredibly supportive, and like, I have honestly grown closer to any sort of, and seen more of any sort of divine, of a God in him than I've seen in most people, most Christians. Most people call themselves Christians. And that's a really different perspective when you grow up in the church, when, at least from my experience and for seeing those around me, growing up in the church, it was always like, oh, you looked at these people who were the pastors or pastors' kids or the youth leaders. And like, I've done most of that. I've had these groups. I've led 50 people. I've started every group. I've been on every worship team. I've played at all the conferences. I've gone to the places where you're getting filled with the Spirit and you pass out. Like, you name it, I've done it. And I have experienced more of God's love and compassion and persistence in John Gray than I did in any of those pastors or any of those sermons or any other thing. And that's crazy to think about. Like, as a Christian, we put these people on pedestals when really it's like the action and the heart of it more than the person. Do you follow that?
Yeah. No, that was well said. That was seems think you have a lot on your heart on the subject.
I did not expect to get into this. But so much on my heart on this subject.
Yeah. No, it's a
very passionate about this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. No, for me, it just brings up like, just like judgment, the idea of judgment from other people or judgment upon yourself. It's like, if you can be free from both of those things, then it's like, I don't know how I got to that from where you were at, but
run with it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna
judgment from yourself. Oh, do it.
I think I'm gonna light it up.
Judgment from yourself and judgment from others. Being free from that. That's if you can get that freedom, like
right. Being actually just 100%, you're living life on your own terms, for doing what you want. But it's like, it's for me, it's way deeper than that. It's like I try to maintain a deep level of peace all the time. Like that's what I aim for, and one of the ways that I get to that is doing very long, slow breaths. I think it's a technique that helps me so much that I'm glad to share it. Like, because taking the longest, slowest inhale, and then it would take too long for me to do it right now.
I was gonna say, like,
it would just take too long. It would be.
You've gotten good at it then,
right? And then the longest, and then you just keep doing that, and you just keep doing that. You just get so relaxed, and then you can maybe dive into yourself a layer deeper than you were before you did that. Maybe not. It just, it's not as simple as that, but
that works for you.
Yeah, it works for me. Yeah. And it's like I've been doing it for a while, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So just like long, deep breaths. Is it like? So I'm imagining. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
So I'm imagining just exactly that, like long, deep breaths. It's just.
Yep.
And you just keep going. Then, you just keep going. Do you hold it for a certain amount of time? Is it? Okay. Just like that. Damn. For those listening, he's just slowly exhaling in like utter peace. This is actually really relaxing to watch. And the laugh. Yeah, I was waiting for it. I knew it was gonna come.
Yeah, that was good.
Damn.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you do that over and over, like as long as you can, pretty much, you'll get more and more relaxed, and then it's like it gets you into a deep meditative state, which is like, which is I enjoy.
Yeah. Do you feel like that relaxation is like it centers you? Or?
Yes, it helps me get centered. It helps center me, and it helps. Yeah, like if I'm thinking, then I'll think on peaceful thoughts if I'm doing that, because it's just like, I don't know, it's just if I need to think, then I would think peaceful thoughts. But usually I'm not even thinking. I'm just if I'm depending on the situation. Sometimes I can't turn off my thoughts on command, but sometimes I can.
I mean, that's a crazy skill.
Yeah, no, it's one I'm kind of been getting into the past couple of years. Yeah. No, being able to turn your thoughts. It's like fucking crazy.
That would be nuts.
Right.
I know I used to, so back when I was in college, going for just my associate's degree, I took an Eastern philosophy class. I was super into Eastern philosophy even long before that, just studying a lot and going on this journey that we actually mentioned, that we were talking about earlier. And it was incredible. And I think that was one of my biggest things that have influenced me to this day, is the ability to calm your mind, and the ability to calm your thoughts, and just allows you to refocus and center. And that's not something that's necessarily taught here in the West, which really, it saddens me. Like, what's taught is the outcome of that. So for me, as you said, I'm a very outgoing person. I worked at Starbucks for, I think it was 7 years, so but I did have a coffee job before that. But I worked at Starbucks for 7 years. I absolutely love connecting and talking with people, and that's like one of my passions. And obviously, you know all this, but one of the main reasons I can do that, and one of the best contributors to that, is because so much of my life I've spent in a meditative state. In the sense, music has put me in that meditative state. Working to control my thoughts has put me in there. Active meditation has put me in there. Passive meditation. And it's gotten to a point where like I can have a conversation and that has become meditation.
Yes.
And like to get to that point has been great, but people want that point and they don't necessarily seem to know how to achieve that.
Yes.
And for me personally, meditation, calming your brain, getting that center, that focus, entering that flow state, all of these things are different words to describe that moment of inner peace, that moment of centering that will lead to being centered while you're walking out through the rest of your life. Which is incredible, and no one really talks about that, or not a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah,
not here in the West.
It's an idea that's just now gaining more popularity. I feel like because of the internet, because ideas are just traveling so fast, that a lot of Eastern philosophies are getting to the West.
So my face, sorry, that's hilarious. I realized I just shut my face down because I was shocked. I had never thought that through. You're right. So we were talking earlier about ideas before the podcast, about ideas traveling across the country and how this is crazy time we live in. That it's not that more things are happening, but that we can know them while they're happening instantly because of the internet and because of all of these different inventions. But to think about that, I never thought about that in a philosophical term. We can learn philosophies from across the world instantly. We don't have to learn from a book. If someone is going through and like the popularity of different philosophies. Actually, I'm going to put it that way. We can learn the popularity of different philosophies and the ebb and flow of different religions instantly. And we can learn that all across the world on different sides of the world.
Right, without even having to go there.
It's crazy.
Right.
That is a freaking crazy
It's
thing.
freaking amazing. That being said, I think going to the place adds an extra level of, because you get to be able to feel where those people are at, like on an inner level, because you're next to them.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like a difference. Instead of just walking the walk, or instead of talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
Right.
Instead of just doing what they say, you're actually in with them, doing it and experiencing it in a as close to them way that you can.
right? Yeah. I could just see it having a slightly different effect, not better or worse, but yeah.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like meditation or anything like that here in the States can mean one thing, but when you go to the actual location, that can mean a very different thing.
Right. I think they live their whole lives meditative, right?
A lot
Like
of
you were
people
saying, you can conversate and be you're meditative. You can go out. It's like we're all trying to go throughout our whole day in that meditative state, right?
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, a lot of people should.
I know
I think
I
everyone
am.
should be.
Yeah.
Like if you're not able to be centered and have peace throughout your day in a daily conversation, if that's not your goal, what the hell is your goal?
right. But at the same time, there's so many pressures in today's society that it's like, I could see how sometimes you get fucking, your goals get, it's like, it's just crazy how much a pressure of money is in today's day and age. How you can forget about personal growth altogether just because I feel like you have to provide for your family, yourself. It's like it is a pressure that people experience. But yeah, I just kind of took what you said and
I dig that. So that's, you say with the financial thing. So that's always really a difficult subject, only because there are a lot of people who are struggling in that day to day, who are living that paycheck to paycheck or less and are surmounting debt. And like, that is a huge pressure. Do you think, like, what would you recommend? Like, so someone who's going through that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, based off of my experiences in life, someone who's trying to like get more financially independent and not have it be a stress in their life.
Exactly.
I would say invest in yourself as much as you can. And let me explain a little bit. Let's say you work a 9 to 5. Let's say you have kids, you work in a 5 to 9 too. You're you know what I'm saying?
That's
from
so true,
5
though.
to 9, you're cooking dinner, you're getting them, and then so let's say you go to bed at 10 or 11, you only got like 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
You have to be aware enough to use, it's like I feel like I'm Gary Vee. right now. You have to be aware enough to use those 1 or 2 hours to research literally just ways to make money. Like when I first started my financial path, I just would look up on the internet. I would just try to find ways to make money on the internet. You know, I'd buy stuff off Craigslist, you know, flip it on eBay, you know, just random hustles, till it evolved into starting my own brand, getting a private label. And then that led into, you know, it just snowballs. And then it all started with me investing in myself because I realized that money was it's just a part of life. I realized that it was a part of life. So that was my 2 cents on the whole thing.
Yeah, so like that personal development, if you don't have that, then the moving forward with the money isn't. What are the differences? If you could you get the money without the personal development?
Yeah, you totally could. And by what way do you mean not personal development? Like you scratch a lottery ticket and get money, or what do you mean?
So you said like personal development, believing and putting effort and time into you is like most important, right?
Right.
Okay. Is that so? Maybe the better question is, can you explain that? Is it that you have a belief that in yourself, like I know I can make more money than I am now. I know I can become this person that is financially stable, even though I'm not, and so I'm gonna work on myself to be that person and bring that into fruition.
I guess it would start with a belief, if that's what you're asking. Like, you would need to believe that it's possible to make more money than the money that you're making right now, and that idea is not that hard to come to terms with. Look at all the money out there. So you just have to, from that idea, you're like, okay, well, I could see how I could somehow, I don't know how yet, get money, because there's so much money out there. All right, well, how are people making money? Well, I don't want to work a job. Well, this is just me. I want to eventually work for myself. So I just knew there was a lot of potential with the internet sales. So that's just where I went. But you could take it any way, whatever your passion is, right? My passion was I wanted to be able to call my own shots in my life. So it's like if you're passionate about people, then try to maybe find a way to another job to help people, or maybe make a course to help people or something. But yeah,
finding that balance. Yeah, and it starts with that belief. Interesting.
Yep.
So here's a completely derailed tangent
off
of that whole. It starts with the belief. So this is something I was watching Black Mirror recently, and something that occurred to me. Humans are one of the very few, if not only, creatures that can predict the future. Now, let me play this out. In our minds, we have the closest thing that I think we will have to a time machine. We have just shy of an actual time machine. And what I mean by that is, I know you laugh, but what I mean by that is we can look at our life right now and say, okay, this is who I am. This is who I am now. This is where I am now. I'm going to look at my past. I'm going to look at Gabe 4 years ago. Gabe 4 years ago was an idiot. Gabe at 22? God, Gabe at 22 was real rough. I do not miss that Gabe. Gabe at 22 is completely different than Gabe here at 26.
Yep.
Yeah, you can attest. Gabe at 22 had no idea I would be here, but that was because of poor planning, because... Yeah, that was essentially...
For the record, I love Gabe at 22. I was thinking back to me at 21. I was like, yep.
Hilarious.
Keep going.
But yeah, I'm not the person I was, or the person I thought I'd be, because of poor planning. However, that being said, you can literally plan your life. So if I look at myself now, and I say, if I've changed to become who I am now, who's to say I won't change to become someone else in the future?
Right.
Now, with that logic, let's take it a step further. Who's to say I can't decide who I want to be in the future? Just because from 22 to 26, I didn't decide who I wanted to be. I didn't intentionally decide who I wanted to be. I made choices and became who I am. But just because I didn't do it, who's to say I can't?
Oh,
so
right.
Looking at the future, I can say, okay, I want to be at 40 years old, I want to be working for myself. Okay, I'm giving myself 14 freaking years here.
Yeah.
I want to be working for myself, have my own brand. I want to be a consultant, helping and leading people, which is actually exactly what I want to be doing. Who's to say that's my goal. I can look at that goal and say, what do I need to do to get there? I need to develop an audience. I need to develop the skills. I need to develop these contacts. I need to have a business. I need to build my brand, yada, yada, all these different things, right? And then looking at that person, who is the person that I will be at that point, or that I need to be at that point? I don't want to block your camera there. Who's the person that I need to be at that point? And then actively developing that. And then in 14 years, less than that, I'll be that person. And what happened? I looked into the future, I saw who I wanted to be, and I created that. We have a time machine in our fucking brain.
Okay.
You see,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I kind of came at it from a different angle.
Yeah,
Not a lot of
that was beautifully articulated.
Thank you. Not a lot of people think about that.
Yeah.
But like,
No, yeah.
I think we are one of the few creatures, and amazing that we have this opportunity to literally craft and create our own future.
Right. And it comes to the point where it's like, what do we want? That is like one of the most important questions. Like in every area of life.
Yeah.
Or in the only, just in whatever areas of life that you care about or whatever that you pay attention to. Where do you want to grow?
Yeah. Where do you want to grow? What do you want?
Are you asking me?
I'm straight up asking you now.
What do I want?
I'm putting you on the spot now.
I want to grow more like emotionally, I guess, getting in, like we were talking about earlier, like more emotionally stable consistently. Just being consistently being able to be there for anyone. And you know, a lot of it is just me weeding out habits that, you know, die hard and stuff like that, you know. But yeah,
I completely feel that.
Yeah. But yeah, what was the question? I just kind of went off on a.
That's fine.
What areas do I want to improve? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just okay. So really, it comes down to just being just deeper and deeper levels of confidence within myself. Really, that's what I want to improve. And to do that, it's like a moment to moment. It's like
it is a moment to moment thing.
Well, it is right. It's partially moment to moment, and then you have to plan too. It's like, yeah, it's like
it's something you're learning. It's hard to articulate.
Right, it's hard to articulate the growth journey, right? Because I feel like I'm growing in every moment, and then yes, I am trying to find certain areas to like put effort into. Yes, but like you're saying with the whole meditative in the moment conversation, if you're fully there, then you're just so enthralled in the moment that you're just learning.
You're in that flow state
time.
Essentially,
right,
all the time.
I'm not. I'm not. But yeah, I strive to be.
You're getting there.
Working on it.
So when it comes to learning and growing, this is something I think I texted you a couple weeks ago about this. Something that's been super fascinating is this idea that life is not hard. Okay? Life is actually, or let me rephrase that. Life is not complicated. Life is very simple. Life is hard, but life is simple. It's not complicated.
Well, it can be simple or complicated, however you choose to interpret it, right?
I mean, it could be. If you decide to look at every single detail and give every single detail like super high priority, that can throw your life into a spiral real quick.
Right.
It gets real bad.
Yeah.
But if you look at life, you can say it's not complex. It's actually quite simple. The simple thing is, if I want to grow, what do I have to do? Please. I have to put myself into situations that allow me to grow. So if I want to, let's say I want to grow in public speaking, I have to start putting myself in situations where I'm speaking to people. I put myself where I'm speaking to you one-on-one, where I'm speaking to my fam. We got a fam of 5 people. Speaking to a crew. You slowly build up.
Yeah. And sidebar, public speaking is something I'm trying to improve on. If anything, like, I feel like, just public speaking, whether it's one-on-one or groups of people. But yes, keep going.
So we'll talk about that one later, because I have a ton of recommendations. I love it. And so it's this idea that, and then what happens as you get better and as you get better, that thing that was so unsurmountable, that thing that was so difficult has now become easy. And the reason it's become easy is because you've done it hundreds of times. Okay, as you do it 100, 1,000, 5,000 times, it now becomes simple. It's just a daily part of
Second
life.
nature.
Exactly. And so the idea is nothing in life is actually terribly complex. You just have to do it and do it and do it. And it may be difficult to do it, but it's not complex. It's just get up there and do it. If you want to learn, if you want to grow, put yourself in those situations.
Okay, yes, it's not terribly complex, but you may get super embarrassed and have red cheeks.
100%.
It wasn't complex. It's a very simple thing that happened, but all you did to do that is just put yourself in this situation. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's powerful.
Isn't it, though?
Very powerful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and I think so many people, myself included, for years, and this is something I struggle with, so many people, though, are so caught up in what others think.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm actually,
I've been there.
I am struggling with that a lot. And I'm actively working towards it. I have a whole 10-step plan because I'm a planner.
Nice.
And I literally have like a whole thing where I'm going through. I'm like, okay, this is going to be my first step. How do I overcome what other people think? I am going to post that this is my struggle on Facebook.
Nice.
That's
a good way of doing it.
I already did it. I'm like, that's my first one.
Nice.
I am going to go
That's a good
Facebook
one.
Live. Thank you. I'm going to go
Facebook
Facebook
Live,
Live
that's a good
every
one.
day for a week without planned content ahead.
Oh!
Thank you. Yeah.
Have you started doing it yet?
Today was going to be my first day, but I decided to do this instead.
Nice.
So tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when I freestyled on Facebook Live with Cam Libby for hours one time. It was
Holy
great.
crap.
It was just great for training,
Exactly.
getting comfortable in front of cameras and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. And so doing things where it's like, okay, the lashback, that's not the right word. The difficulty, there's consequences. There's a good one. The consequences of what you're doing are minimal, right? The consequences of going Facebook Live 7 days in a row with no content, nothing planned ahead of time. I mean, what's the worst?
Right.
That's gonna
In
happen?
reality, worst case is like one of your friends or maybe someone watches you and then they're like, that's just so embarrassing. Like, I can't believe they're doing that, right?
Exactly.
Like judging you, but it's like, why would you, right? It's like
Worst
being
case
above the
scenario.
judgment. It's like being able to see judgment for judgment and being above judgment in general. But yeah.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like these little steps. And the more I do this, the more I don't give a crap what other people are thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not complex. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, well, right. It's a simple idea. And then acting it out is, you have to retrain yourself how you were. And then you have to, be in those situations. You just have to,
You have to fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Be
You
a
have to
fucking
do it.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
Grow a pair and do it. I don't believe I just said that. But what the hell? It's what I believe.
If you want to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't want to grow, then you don't have to.
Stay where you are.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about life is you get to pretty much do whatever you want. If you want to be a hobo, you can be a hobo.
That's true.
You don't have to work for the man if you don't want to.
That's true.
You know, you could, by the way, sidebar, if you want to be a hobo, go to Hawaii.
Hell yes to that.
But anyway, I feel like you had something to say.
I was going to take your last $400 and go right to Hawaii.
No,
my man.
legit. But yeah, I mean, even though I say you could do whatever they want, most people need like money. That's pretty much the only thing that a lot of people need before they can feel like they can be free, maybe, or because if they don't have to worry about it or whatever. It's just one less thing to worry about.
It's a huge thing.
Right?
And it's
not that you should worry about it in the first place.
It's one of those things that like so many people, I notice whenever I talk, I always look down. So I'm going to try and work on that.
I've been working on eye contact too. I'm
that's funny.
trying. The best I can.
So I noticed like money is one of those things that everyone, if you want to be a functional human being in our society, you need money. That's just a fact. That's something that impacts everyone.
What define functioning?
Okay. I would say functioning would be it's not that you as a human aren't functioning, but functioning in our society, meaning you are actively involved in the society.
In what way? Bare minimum.
Okay, bare minimum.
Yeah.
Bare minimum involved in our society. I would say you're So I'm trying to think of ways that would support my argument, and I see why you asked that question. Which is why it's just, okay. Let's say a baseline. You need money to survive. Food.
Okay.
Food. Baseline, you need money. So if you need X amount of money, let's just go super, super basic.
Okay.
We're going to eat 1 meal a day.
Yep.
You can drink water from water fountains. That's fine.
Yeah.
Eat 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
So let's say you need like $100 a week. Okay. That's less
yeah.
than $10 a day.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty, or no, that's more than $10.
More, but
That's fine. $100 a week.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing nothing and you have no money coming in, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So if money, in that case, even if money only affects you $100 a week, even if that's all it affects you, it affects everyone. In order to survive, it affects everyone. So it's kind of a really big priority. So what do you think for someone who is trying to get out of that rat race, trying to get out of that 9 to 5? You said starting looking in like working on personal development, right? Is there any specific strategies that have helped you in that personal development? Super roundabout way to ask this question.
Yeah. So are you asking generally? Wait,
for you specifically, yeah. So has there been anything, if money is necessary for everyone, and the best way to advance in that income is through personal development, then what are some of the things that have helped you in that personal development?
Like, if you're going for income, if you're trying to personal development to get that income?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A good way to go about it is this. On your day off, you just research all day long. You not even all day long. You just put in a few hours. But if you put in 5-6 hours researching ways to make money, then that creates some sort of drive. Oh, and partially, it's like. So wait, the question was methods to.
So what has worked with you for personal development? In ways that you've been able to amass money around you?
I think it's just like, honestly, I think it's just like a deep inner drive that like it resulted in wanting money at the time, but like it's just a drive to, I don't know. I think it was just it was a deep wanting for better for myself in the sense of I didn't want to have to answer to people because not that that's an awful thing. It's not. It's just personally, I find it very liberating to be able to make every decision that I want in my day.
Control of your life.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, and
so out of that.
So
desire,
it was like it was a deep. It was like there was no other way. Mm-hmm. That's what you have to create in yourself, if you really want it.
So like being able to. This is something like Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about. Is like always being hungry.
Yeah.
So creating that desire, creating that hunger.
And sorry, thinking back, when I first started like researching ways to make it online, I would just research ways, and then I just built up a confidence in myself. I knew that I would make it. It was just a matter of when. And it's the same thing with like all the artists that make it and stuff. They have that drive. And a lot of artists, like if you look back at their history, they're so hungry.
That drive and that confidence.
Yeah,
and that so hungry.
And if you could just keep feeding that drive, it just has to be fed. And the hardest part is feeding it, right?
Do you think complacency is the opposite of like entrepreneurism?
Yes and no, because I could see an entrepreneur getting complacent too, because they're so used to just being an entrepreneur. That's all they're used to, and they just keep doing that rather than growing in other ways that they would probably benefit them more.
Got you. Okay, you're getting meta on us. We're flipping this on our heads. I like that. I like that.
I'm just taking it as it comes.
That's fair. We don't plan any of this ahead of time, so that's fair. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Damn. Yeah. So I want to talk. One thing I do want to talk about is because I've been researching this a lot today in the last couple of weeks, has been the connection between religion and mushrooms, religion and psilocybin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I have a feeling you have some interesting thoughts, and I want to know.
Yeah. Okay. First off, let me say that trying to describe a psilocybin experience is like, this is the best way I can explain it, is trying to describe colors to a blind person. But that being said, if you want to learn more, I recommend listening to Terrence McKenna. We'll talk about it for hours and hours. That being said, my experiences have been so therapeutic and just amazing, and it's so hard for people that haven't done them, it's so hard to even conceptualize them because they're so alien, is for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
They're so out of the normal way of thinking in the Western way of thinking, where like 1 + 1 = 2.
Yep.
Logic. Everything is logical. Think about the beginning of life, though. Was that logical? I just want to go there real quick.
Let's do it.
Because if you think about the beginning of everything, how could it have started from nothing? It would have had to always have been there, right? Logically. It would have had to always been there. And that right there, it always have been there, isn't logical.
There would have had to be something smaller and smaller and smaller and
Yes.
smaller, depending on what you believe. You'd have to go, if there's that one atom, okay, well, that one atom had to be there, or it had to grow out of, or come from the collision of two other things, or one other thing that was smaller,
Right.
and just keeps going.
And that
something.
keep going, that keep going,
exactly.
that keep going.
You follow that to the end, and something had to be there.
Yeah, and that would have had to have been there forever. Forever, which is like just mind-blowing, first of all. And I think it's a very liberating thing to think about also. And yeah, I don't know. What were we talking about before that got us into that?
So
it all...
I know it does.
Oh, this is... Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that thought of you can't logically comprehend the fact that life has been here forever. It's like trying to describe how this water tastes. I could try for ever and ever, but it just and you could have a good idea, but you wouldn't know it until you experience it yourself. And for people that are interested, I recommend diving deep on the internet because there's so much information about it.
Yeah, this book, How to Change Your Mind, by... Damn it, I don't remember
Eckhart
his name.
Tolle?
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. Thank you, my man. We good. Incredible book on Audible or physical copy, however you want to do it. Incredible book that talks about this.
Okay. Yeah.
Since you're throwing out resources, I figure I'll throw one in there.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah. Wait. So they mentioned what in the book?
It's this investigative journalist that went in and tried. He looked at this whole psilocybin idea and was like, okay, let me get to the heart of this. I want to really understand. So I want to attack this from a journalist perspective. So he went back and started looking at some of the old Harvard studies. And if you really look at like what the actual studies are, it's crazy. The shit that they were doing to these people is nuts.
Like what?
Just like the amount that they would give them, grams upon grams, to these people to see like, okay, what happened? Like what would happen? Essentially, like, I don't want to make that comparison. You're giving people something that you don't know, so that you can decide, or so that you can see what happens. That is a terrifying way to view science, but that's when you're in the unknown. That's all you can do. Yeah. And so that's what a lot of the studies were, and the results were crazy. And so he went and dug deep into a lot of this, and then goes and explores it, and then explores the bad as well as the good, and sees, okay, why did the government do these studies? Why did it get shut down? How has it evolved over the years? What has been the public perception of psilocybin? And then literally ends up going and trying some, and goes on a whole investigative journey with that. It's very interesting.
This is all Eckhart who did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting. Very, very worth your read. I think it's like a 13-hour audiobook. One of the best 13 hours I've spent.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard good things about Eckhart. I've just never dived into his stuff firsthand. But yeah, okay. One way to describe a psilocybin experience to people that have grown up in religious settings, like for me, growing up in a church setting, a lot of Christians would refer to something called the Holy Spirit. And when you're on psilocybin mushrooms, it's like an encounter with the Holy Spirit yeah, it's as it's
within that same comparable
yes,
field.
yeah. It's the same feeling.
Yeah.
And then what you do with that feeling is completely up to you and your whole life's journey, right? Mm-hmm. But
that's interesting.
yeah, and that's just one way. Like I can interpret that they can help that bring out that in me because of everything that my perception of life and everything. But like to someone else, it might not.
Yeah, like setting
depending on where they are. Setting
intention
is
super important from what I've read. But that's really interesting because there's a lot of comparison and a lot of people talk about, and like if you look at the actual studies, they all show, or a lot of them show the direct link and direct comparison between like psilocybin and religious experiences. So this morning I was actually at like 4:30 this morning. I was online researching what is the 30 questions. There's a specific 30 question questionnaire that you fill out to discover how complete was your religious experience.
Okay, interesting.
And so when this is what happens when science tries to understand
I know,
religion.
right? I was gonna say, who's to say? But anyway, I'm curious. Actually, the question.
It's so interesting, but like, so that's what happens when science tries to understand religion, which is fair. There's a lot of ambiguity there, and there's going to be a lot lost because they're two very different. I would say they're two different sides of a coin, That's my personal opinion, is science looks at everything that this world has created and understands what this world is. And religion looks at it from a philosophical aspect and says, okay, let's either put stories together on how it came about or why. Let's answer the how or the why question, where science comes at it from a what and a how perspective. So two sides of the same coin. But if you look at the studies, it was, let me just pull this information back from my head. There were, in one of them, there's 32 participants. Of the 32, 22 of them had said that they had what would be a complete religious experiment.
29 of them?
22.
22 out of 30?
22 out of 30.
Okay.
And the placebo, it was only like 2 or 4 people who took the placebo. Said they had a religious experience.
On psilocybin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they took a placebo.
Were they in the same room as other people?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Yep.
I'm not sure, but I don't believe so. And so either 2 who took the placebo, 2 to 4 said they had a religious experience, and then the people who took psilocybin, it was 22 out of the 30, which is massive. It's dramatically different.
Right.
And their religious experience was designated as a complete religious experience, which is one of the highest forms. Now take that. And then you can look at it. There's other studies that have shown people who have this religious experience that they claim, their personal religious experience, have rated it in one of the top 3 to 5 experiences, positive experiences in their life. And then there's been studies that come back where they re-interview these people a year, so 12 to 18 months later. And they still said, like, there was a dramatic shift in their personality, like scientifically documented dramatic shift in their personality.
Their friends, I'll say it too.
Typically relieves to more openness, which take good or bad, whether that's good for you in this society or not.
Right.
Hit or miss.
Generally, I think it's good.
Yeah. So, like, but to say that it doesn't, so it definitely affects you, and it affects you in a perceived religious experience way. The scientific literature is very clear on that, which is crazy when I first started diving into this.
Yeah. It's like, what the crap?
It's
like they're mushrooms.
Yeah. I literally grew up in such a religious family, so like looking at this blew my mind.
And the fact that they're classified as illegal drugs.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
It's a whole very odd, odd place.
Yeah. So it's like part of where we're at in a society is a lot of people that don't know anything about psilocybin are learning about psilocybin because of the internet and just because of how good they are. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing.
It's so fascinating.
Just based off of how much they've helped me personally. Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then to think, you have people who, like, I totally understand people like Russell Brand. He's struggled with a lot of different addictions in his life. I was actually listening to him this morning talk on some different podcasts. He's struggled with a lot of addictions in a lot for his life. And I get that. And so he won't take mushrooms. He won't do any of this stuff because he has that very addictive personality, and it becomes very obsessive. And if I'm not careful, I definitely fall into that. I become super obsessed on like a certain topic and I just get engulfed in it, and a year will go by and that's my life, and it's not healthy. And so his way of handling it has been, okay, I'm not going to do that. So instead he creates that religious experiment, that religious centering, that entering the flow state, that meditative state, however you call it, through like meditation and through other aspects.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. So like for people who don't want to try any sort of mind altering drug other than like caffeine or sugar, then there's tons of other ways to create that religious experience.
Totally. And like some of the most spiritual people that I look up to have never taken them, you know?
Absolutely. It's not like a one size fits all type of thing.
No.
But it's just another tool in your toolbox.
Right. Yeah, it's not a one size fits all. Like, you don't need to do it to have a great life. That being said, the amount of similarities of great experiences across people that have done them is mind-blowing. Like the therapeutic effects of them are absolutely mind-blowing. Like you're talking about the studies, like
it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you really want to do, like, if you really look into the research, into the scientific literature on psilocybin, it blows your mind. If you want to have a really weird afternoon, it just kind of challenges everything in your brain. Just look up.
And the whole thing with being addicted to psilocybin is, a lot of people say when you take enough, like if you have a true psilocybin experience, you do not. It's the opposite of addiction. You are so good because you learned everything that you're just so good with the substance. It's hard to explain, but like on one hand, it's very confronting of a lot of things. And if you took like 4 grams one day and then you took them the next day, it wouldn't even have the same effects. So you couldn't even get addicted to them. But on a microdose scale, you could get addicted to them. Whether you and whether you view that addiction of the microdose as a good or a bad thing, that's up to the person.
Yeah, people are addicted to caffeine. People are addicted to sugar.
Right.
Addiction gets a bad rep, but everyone has it. In my opinion.
Okay. Well. Right, whether the addiction is like really healthy ones or not.
Exactly.
Okay, what about this?
Yeah.
What if someone that doesn't have any? I think there's people that don't have any addiction. Like,
show me one. That's what I would say.
Well.
So yeah, let's play out this hypothetical person.
Okay. Well, I could see it in a bunch of different ways, because in one hand, we're all addicted to sleep. But I'm not looking at those.
Neither am I.
I'm saying that everything you do is not compulsive. Nothing you do is compulsive. It's perfectly in the moment. And the only person that
I have a really hard time believing anyone could be like that.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And the only person that I could think even is close to this realm has poured into me. Has helped me so much on my life journey. His name is Sadhguru.
I knew you were going to mention Sadhguru, yeah.
No, literally. And that's what he preaches is non-compulsive activity. Because, and like, it's just, He's very good. He's helped me so much. SADHGURU. YouTube.
He's freaking great.
The wisdom is crazy.
Yeah. So non-compulsive behavior. So yeah, taking apart sleep, eating, any drinking, things that are needed for survival.
Right.
Like basic survival needs.
Right.
That aside, I would still say, everyone. But maybe I could go down to 99.99.
Right. Of the people we know, but right. It's like it's like as much as people as we do know. There's a lot of people we haven't met.
This is true. This is super
and
true.
There's a whole spectrum of consciousness.
I have a very general rule of like, I will never say never, and I'll never be like 100% sure on things because that's exactly right. Like, there are so many people you don't know. Like, I can't say humans won't live forever because there are generations from now that I have never met, and there might be a human that they've genetically modify this DNA where this human can live forever. And there we go, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's a possibility, and so I'd never say never. So in this case, though, this is really difficult one. I would say 99+% only because you have like there are needs. So we have our biological needs: eating, sleeping, drinking.
Other than that, what is it that you think is so? Because I feel like
social
it's so.
Needs. Yeah,
I'm a big believer of you can just program your consciousness to for whatever you're going for, and if you don't want social need, like there's people who meditate by themselves their whole lives, and they're just fine.
I have such a hard time believing stuff like that.
Right.
I have such a hard time with that.
And literally, I challenge you to go into deeper meditation to understand where they're coming from and where they could be at such peace. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm down for the challenge. Like,
but yeah,
do you have any names I could research? Like, 'cause I would love to learn more about this.
No, well, I mean. What? Research what?
For like people who have gone into like deep meditative states, you say for their life, but like
just like non-social people that are just completely fine being non-social.
Let's run with that.
Right. I don't know any off the top of my head. I guess I've just heard references.
Yeah. Okay.
Of,
keep talking. We lost video, so I'm just gonna fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, keep talking.
Word. Yeah. And Sadhguru says, about these people.
Okay. Howdy. So we lost one camera, so we're just improvising here. What's up, peeps? No idea if you can see me. Yeah, we're gonna. Yep, we're doing it like this. How's it going?
Let's go. All right.
Right, I'm actually just gonna take a peek at the camera. Make sure we can still see it.
Yeah. Grab your chair too, if you want.
Dude, just like that.
Nice.
Bam. Actually, no, screw the chair. I'm sitting down with you, bro.
Heck yeah.
Okay, cool.
Heck yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Right, let me just angle this away so that it doesn't pick up you as bad. Okay,
let me get a little closer to the mic.
Right?
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so any names?
No names off the top of my head. Yeah, no names.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can find. Because I would be very interested. I would be very interested in that.
Just like the idea of being completely by yourself and
less necessarily the idea of being by yourself, but more the idea that we could turn off these needs. So, yeah, because like as humans, we're such crazy creatures. Like we have our basic physiological needs. We have our like biological needs, obviously. And then even in Maslow's hierarchy, not the second, but a few up there after safety and stuff, we have social needs. And I think people,
or you could call it social wants, right? It's like,
see, that's where I disagree. I think people have a need to be around people. I think we're social animals. We're social creatures, and
I totally get where you come from because I really enjoy freaking social interaction, and
this is gold.
This is beautiful.
Yeah,
it's freaking beautiful. At the same time, I've over the years, I've just been able to come to a place where I can. Sometimes it's harder than others, but I can genuinely just be so at peace when I'm just by myself and no one else. And but obviously, doing it your whole life is an extreme, right?
Yeah.
But I just think with consciousness, I think it's a blank slate.
So. It's a blank slate. Go ahead, because I was going to.
Well, meaning that we can program ourselves in any way that we want to.
Interesting.
Literally whatever way we want to. I don't think there's limits. That's my personal belief. That's
#limitless.
Yeah, but that's a whole philosophical.
That's a whole conversation that I may or may not get into after this, but. With this whole social thing, I'm super hung up on this. What about people who are in like prisons? You have social isolation, and what about the idea? So actually, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm
the
just
idea that it breaks people.
Yeah. So do you think that if like a Tibetan monk who is taking a vow of silence, let's say that lives out in the mountain, he is in solitude for. Okay, he's got a year in solitude. Yeah. Do you think he's totally fine?
Yes. And I think, and I've heard like I don't remember like names or anything, but I've heard of stories of people in that, you know, it will break you. Well, if you're, okay. I've never been in solitary confinement, right? But I've heard that some people, they could just feel like they're going crazy the whole time and not enjoy themselves, or you could just enjoy yourself. It's kind of just a decision.
Is it though? Because you
It
also
is.
Is it?
As hard as an environment,
I don't.
and that's
Okay.
the whole beautiful thing of consciousness. That no matter what the environment, you can be above it mentally. You can be so thankful for being alive that you can even breathe in that. In it's
That would be amazing. Like to achieve
right
that state.
to be able to do it. You're right. It's so hard, right? But it's like, yeah.
But you believe it's possible.
Oh yeah.
Like I think we both agree that would be an ideal. That would be the ideal.
I think it comes down to your perspective on life itself and just how appreciative you are to just be here.
Damn.
I mean, like, yeah. I feel like that's like how appreciative we are to be here. Almost is like a tuning point of our like frequency or vibration. Almost, it's like because if you put effort into, if it's like genuinely like realizing appreciation, or I hate to say even put effort in it, because if it's genuine, then you're not putting effort. It's natural. So it's like a weird thing. But
do you think you have to put effort into it for it to become natural? If that's maybe not your natural state.
Yes. And yes, like back in the day, I put effort when I would be overflowed by life. I would put so much effort when those overflowing, and those would, even if I wouldn't get to that high point for months, those filled me up. They like drilled something into me so deeply, and I couldn't help but think of that night that both of our bodies were vibrating to the
freaking
inner
remember that
core.
to this day.
And like on the ride home to my parents' house after that, we both went to my parents' house after. Even though there's a whole story, our bodies were intensely vibrating to the inner core, and it's hard to describe.
That was one of the most like religious experiences and like out of body experiences I've had in my life. Was that night. It was crazy. So for those watching and listening, we were at a worship night. I believe it was a big worship night for one of our churches. And then after that, we were doing a bunch of prayer. And just like, I don't know how to describe it. It was something where you just like lost yourself. And it was like an out of body experience. And it was a very crazy religious experience. Which to think other people can achieve that or achieve something within that same realm by eating a fucking plant.
Oh, I know.
Blows my mind.
I know, right. That is crazy. But thinking back to how I got to those states back then, it was an intense form of appreciation. But it wasn't like constantly just thank you, like life, just thank you. Well, in its essence, it was, but it would manifest in maybe I would think about a person, and then I would just I don't know, want the most pure thing for that person. Whatever came across my heart, I would just I don't know. That's a glimpse of where I was at. And then you were drumming.
I was.
And then we linked up after at the end.
Yeah, I was.
And then did
That was
vibrating
crazy.
not start till we were linked up?
Yeah.
Right. It didn't start for me either.
Once we were together, it's weird, like having two people who, how do I describe this? When you're on like the same plane, essentially mentally focused on the same thing, physically doing the same thing. So it's kind of like if you have a team, an individual can be doing great. All of a sudden you put them in a team and the sum is greater than each of its parts, right? The whole is great. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's how it goes. And so it was the same idea, whereas like you were having this experience and I was having this experience, but when we came together, it became something more than just that one experience or those two experiences. It's nuts.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we were both in our landscape at that time. We were both hungry for, like in that moment and in our lives, we were hungry for life to reveal itself to us.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So I feel like that's what really, like, we were like ready for life to like blow our minds.
Yeah. And it
And
did.
And
it
just like,
freaking did.
you know, it's like,
Yeah.
And
Like,
the more you want that, the more you prepare yourself for it, the more you can have those experiences.
Do you think that's similar to like the law of attraction, where it's like, or that's maybe the deconstructed law of attraction, where it's the more you want something, and so because you want it, you start preparing for it, and you start looking for it, and then those opportunities or those experiences then reveal them to you, and because you've wanted it and you've been preparing, you're now ready for it. Do you think that may be like a deconstructed version of the law of attraction?
Yes, like that totally makes sense. There's like different takes on it, right?
Okay.
Because like, yes, that makes perfect sense. Like, yeah. And then I hear philosophies like from Sadhguru, that like, if you get your energy within yourself properly aligned, then it becomes easier, effortless, because everything in life becomes more effortless. But Sadhguru could do it way better, and it gets a little woo-wooey. No, literally, which is like, it's like to the point where he says that, and like when you are on fucking psilocybin, you like start manifesting crazy shit. Like you don't have to even lift a finger and you can manifest it. And then he says, obviously effort helps, and it resonates to me at some level, but I know to a lot of people it won't resonate, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So what are your views on level of attraction then? The laws of attraction.
I don't know. I don't really think about it too much, honestly, like the
Okay.
idea of the law of attraction. I focus more on, I don't know, maybe I do, and like I just don't realize it. I don't know. I just focus on just what I want, and like, I don't know. It's like I try to when I'm at my best, I try to consume no content. I try to not attach to any ideology. I just live, and then I get a lot of things because I'm so open. You're ready. You can see it from so many different angles. But I know it's hard to. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
So you're more like view yourself as an open vessel. And instead of attacking problems or trying to achieve certain things with certain skill sets or with certain ideas or idealistic concepts, instead you look at the world and you take away everything. You say, okay, look at yourself and say, I am as open of a vessel as I can be. And then you go from there.
Yes, and I try to. Sometimes I need to be more open, and I like to do that as much as I can. But it's just self-awareness is part of it, knowing where you're at emotionally. And if I'm in a place emotionally where I feel like I just want to be in a better place, then I'll I don't know, self-reflect maybe, or just like, I don't know, focus on my breathing or something.
Yeah.
But wait, do you mind brushing up on that, what you were just talking about? Because it sparked something in me. I just want to get back to it.
What part? The law of attraction, or we?
After that, the last. Oh, the open vessel thing.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. One thing, it's like, if you don't identify with anything, I'm kind of taking it a different way.
Let's run with it.
But if you don't identify with anything, then you can just learn so much more. Because the moment I identify with being a Christian, that's just an example, then I would be closed off. I mean, I wouldn't be, but generally, once you have a certain way of thinking, I just try to be an open vessel.
Okay.
And it wasn't worth the effort right there, but.
It's interesting. I think I know where you were headed, and that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Just being an open vessel, though. That's your.
Okay.
That's what you strive for.
Well, partially, like in this conversation,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to stay very present in the moment, like just what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yes, in that sense, I'm just open vessel. I'm letting your words flow through me, react to me.
Yeah.
And then words are happening.
Same. It's a totally
Right.
different experience having like maybe an hour conversation now, where like on these deep shit topics,
Yeah.
and having none of this pre-planned. This is all like, to be able to do that, you have to be super in the moment. You have to be super connected and be able to develop this connection.
Yeah.
And that's so difficult to do. And you have to be super open. If I came in here with an agenda, this is just not going to work. We would have been done in 5 minutes.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Or maybe it would have started that way and then diffused, or I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like our it's just crazy that naturally we just talked about these. It's just cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's really cool how it happens.
Yeah. It's like where I'm at in my life and where you're at in your life. And this is just a glimpse of like the stuff that we could talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
so it's just cool.
So this is a complete tangent.
Yeah,
you're recording a lot of music now.
Yes, that just came out of freaking nowhere. Well, it's sort of it's been building in me for like a while.
Yeah, it has.
Right? Like I've been freestyling on and off for like years. And
you should look him up. He's got some YouTube freestyles.
Not my best. Wait till I drop some new music. Yeah. So anyway, I just needed a mic cable, and when the mic cable came in, it just the energy within me, and it just all aligned to be able to. Literally, I made like 4 songs in like 4 days, or 4 or 5 days of work days. Some days I got sidetracked with like friends and stuff. But like of actual work days, it was like 4 days. It was just the same thing as the open vessel thing. I would just let it like flow through me, like the songs.
That's how the best songs are written, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then some of the songs I had written already.
Yeah,
but
it's such a weird thing when you like. So I obviously am an avid songwriter. I've written a boatload of songs. I've been on probably 6 or 7 different albums or EPs. With a bunch of different projects.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it's been a really fun journey. And like, so I have seen all aspects of it. I've been the person who sits down, has everything pre-written, and like sits down with like the calculator and is like, okay, what is the best time signature for this? And what is going to be the best chords? I'm going to use the 3/5, and like, I'm going through all these different things. And I mapped it out to be like the best or like a great song and stuff. And where it logically is great, and those take so much freaking effort. And then there's the time where you just sit behind a piano, and then 20 minutes later you're done, and you're like, "Fuck, this was the best song I've ever written."
Right, and it was the easiest one you've ever written.
Easiest by far.
Yeah.
Easily my best song. Like when it comes to drums, that's how it happens. I can't be super technical. I mean, I can play technical, but I can't. When I write technical, it sounds like shit because I get so stuck in my head. So like I have to step back. And whenever I go to record an album, this has just become a habit. I write the songs for like the drums for the songs, and I have a rough idea of what I want to play. And then before I go into the studio, I will deprive myself of sleep for anywhere between 24 and 48 hours of staying awake.
Wait, why?
Because it gets me out of my head. And then, so I'll go 24 to 48 hours of no sleep. And then I'll focus and re-listen to every single song like 10 or 15 or 20
on
times.
On no sleep?
On no sleep.
Oh,
and
gosh.
listen to the drums and say, okay, is this the best drum? Is that the best part? Did I play this right? Should I add the accents? What if I did something crazy and threw out my snare? What if I didn't use a snare in the song at all? Like, what would happen? And when you don't have that sleep, it kind of like shuts my brain down, and I'm able to enter that like free form, no planned writing phase where the writing becomes easier. For me, I've just learned how to enter that. And it takes no sleep for 24 to 48 hours.
Nice,
But those are when the best writing happens.
So interesting.
It's fun.
I feel you. It's all about getting your like your inner landscape to the right. So I feel you. It's like when I was doing it, it was just like weed helped me stay in there, but that wasn't the only thing. It was my whole life getting to that point. Really, that's every moment.
When you're super aligned, it all comes together. Makes a huge difference.
And that brings up a thing, like it brings up a philosophy of mine, like how I've been living lately is like if it it sounds kind of bad saying it this way, but like if it requires too much effort, then don't put it aside, but like just don't force it. Like sometimes I wasn't inspired, but I liked the idea of making music, but it just wouldn't align, right? So you can't force it. It's just like anything in life. Don't force it. Just let it flow. Even if, no matter how attached to the idea you are. I guess that's something I'm still.
When it comes to the arts, I think it's really funny because it's a fine balance. If you are a professional musician, like this is what you get paid to do, then, or if you're a professional writer, if you're professional anything in the arts form, then like it's really hard because you have to have enough discipline to do your craft and to improve on it, but you also have to be willing to step back and say, okay, I know I just spent the last 6 months working on this and perfecting it, but this is crazy. This is crap. What I just wrote in the last 10 minutes is what we're going to do. You have to find that balance.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's this great story, and I love telling this story. Reliant K was in a studio in Tennessee on their album, Forget and Don't Slow Down. I think you know where I'm headed with this. Yeah. And so, they were, in the studio writing this album. And then one day, Matt, he's the lead singer, it was his day to record vocals, right? So everyone's in the studio and they're waiting, and like he's just not showing up. So they go to where he's sleeping to go to his bunk. He's not there. Start calling his phone. His phone's off. Look, and the van is gone. He's just gone. Didn't tell anyone. Just disappeared. Comes back at I think it was 6 or 7 that night. And shows up. Everyone's like, where the hell have you been? You just wasted a full day of our recording time. Like, professionally, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I paid for this too, bro.
Yeah.
But and he's like, dude, he just sat down the piano. He's like, listen to this. And played the song Therapy off of the album Forget and Don't Slow Down, which happens, it's my favorite song on the album before I even learn the story. Great song. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And literally he wrote that and he said, I left this morning. I wrote this song today. We're putting it on the album. And they did. It's one of my favorite songs. Yeah. Easily my favorite song on the album.
Yeah. No, it's such a beautiful... That's crazy. That's such an amazing story.
Gold. And it shows...
Because he had the wisdom to know.
To know this was necessary.
And yes, that's what... It's like, yes, being able to... It's just,
But do you think that one can develop their skill enough so where they can disappear like that for a day and come back and have something worth it? Do you think they can develop that without discipline in cultivating their craft and improving before that point?
In enjoying it the whole way process?
Not necessarily enjoying it the whole way. Do you think that they can step back and say they're in that situation? You're in the recording studio, you disappear for a day, you end up writing a song, you come back. Do you think that someone can do that, disappear for a day, come back, and the quality of what they wrote would be as good as someone who, if they just went with the flow, as far compared to someone who had been disciplined and worked up to it?
Yes, for sure. No doubt.
Really?
It's just, it brings up a freaking crazy thing of just like music in today's day and age. I don't know. So the question was, is that okay for the bandmates or something? Or
not necessarily. So the question, I could distill it down a little more.
Is one better than the other?
I could distill it down a little more. Do you think that someone who goes with the flow all the time can develop the same skill level as someone who puts in the discipline? Essentially, that's what the question comes down to.
Yes.
Okay. I disagree. I super disagree.
Because if you're in the flow, you're getting that discipline in the flow. So it's
yes.
So
yes.
So
I agree.
Right. So it is and it isn't, I think.
It is.
Is the right answer?
Yeah. But in order to develop that flow, don't you have to have that discipline?
Okay, I guess I'm just viewing it as
both
enjoyment, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about my freestyle skills, which led to being able to record. The freestyling came out of slight discipline, in the sense of sometimes friends would be freestyling and then you'd want to go in too. So discipline to get yourself to get it there. But most of the time it was just pure enjoyment and fun.
But do you think you could be a better freestyler if you took some time to like learn different words or map out different flows that worked, or listen to more freestyling that like intentional?
It could get you better, but I don't think it's guaranteed to get you better. I don't think
that.
one way is guaranteed to get you. There's no one way of making it.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Because art is up to the interpreter, right?
Exactly. I think we can agree on that one.
So where were you coming from, though? Because I know you've come from a disciplinary...
Very disciplined. I literally, with drums, like I put 10,000 hours in, or just shy of. I think I put about... If you count just behind the kit, I put about 7,000. If you include like hand drums, percussion, it's well over 10.
But how much of that was like you didn't want to do it? A lot of it?
Less than half.
Okay.
So not the majority, but there were definitely days where I'm like, I just don't want to do this. But I'm like, I know it'll get better. I know when I do it, I will improve. And for me personally, I am so glad I did. Because I'll find something, and I'm working on it, and I'm like, this sucks while I'm working on it. And like an hour goes by and it still sucks. And then a week goes by and it gets a little better. And then 2 weeks go by, a month goes by, and all of a sudden I'm doing it. And then 6 months go by and I'm putting it into the next album that I'm recording. And did that process suck? Yeah. Did I want to practice that thing every day for like a month? Absolutely not. I wanted to have fun. But do I regret it? No. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with that.
Okay, yep. So from my perspective, it sounds like you were almost attached to a timeline.
More, not necessarily attached to a timeline. That's just kind of like how it would generally
Or you
flow.
had general... okay.
I would typically be more attached to an idea that, okay, an
idea of like you're trying to make it essentially or whatever.
Exactly. Like I like this riff. I want to include this riff in a song. I think I could. I just need to learn it, and I need to learn how to add the ghost note on the 32nd and the third and yada yada yada. And I would do that in order mentally. What I would be attached to is the idea of improvement, so that I could consistently get better and then make it. That's the kind of progression, I guess, if you want to really deconstruct it.
Okay.
Did you just pull a banana out of your pocket?
No, it was on the ground, but
that's sick.
right.
So that's where I was coming from. Okay, but you're more in the natural flow. That's where you're coming from.
Right, I'm coming from the perspective of if I don't feel inspired, then I won't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But that being said, that could go. It's
there
just
is something to be said for both sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at. Yes.
There is,
and if you have a good balance of both,
then
you're fucking there.
That's the goal.
If you're trying to make it.
Exactly. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah, we've had some good synergy on this.
This has been a great thing. But we are starting to lose light. I'm not sure how well that's picking up the light.
Right. It's getting mosquito-y, too.
It's getting mosquito-y, too. Dude, this has been a fucking pleasure.
Dude, hell yeah. I freaking
great.
love you, bro.
Dude, I love you too,
anytime
man.
you want me on the podcast, I'm more than willing.
100%. I'm going to take you up on that.
Hell yeah, bro.
Dude, bro. Peace.